An unhappy Wednesday, everyone. Coming to you live once again from our humble abode. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you, as always, for joining us from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if you're stuck at work. Crack open a cold one if you've got the option, for all of you who took the whole week off. And let's have some fun here as we put an end to, well, what's normally day 3 of this week's hostage situation. But, I mean, for me, it's day 1. For some of you, you've not been to work at all this week. But anyways, we look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. I don't know about y'all, but it is hot as hell out here in Ohio. Most of our holiday weekend was a lot of it got washed out. There was thunderstorms on and off all weekend long. So the cook-off that we had intended to do, we ended up having to postpone that, and which was kind of a bummer because we were going to do it Monday. And we postponed it, and then the weather Monday, late afternoon, early evening was actually decent. But the report ahead of time looked bad, and the last thing I wanted was, a whole horde of people over here to eat and judge us, and then everybody's stuck sitting inside, and my house is just not that big, so I didn't want everybody crammed in. So we postponed that. We'll likely do that. Right now, I think we're looking at the weekend in between Philly and when I go to Toronto with the boys. We'll see. Yesterday was gorgeous, hot as hell, but it was beautiful. I spent all day outside pretty much. I think we're out at the pool at like 11:30 in the morning and didn't come back in until like 4:30 in the afternoon. So normally I only sunburn once every summer, and then it goes away, and then the more I'm outside, the darker I get. Yesterday I spent a good 5-6 hours in just beaming hot sunlight. So I looked in the mirror when I got in last night, and I said, oh God, I look like a tomato can. But fun day. Good time with the kids out in the pool. Hope everybody had a great holiday. If you've extended your holiday, then I hope you're enjoying the whole week off. I know that Chris Sack has the whole week off, so good for him. Who do we got? Oh, here's my mother, Joyce Russ. How you doing, Mom? David Califoot. These lows got me running on E. Gilmore, what's up, brother? You suck. You missed last week, dude. I went full scorched earth on the New York Yankees last Wednesday. For the last good 25 minutes of the show was just an epic long rant on the heels of a loss to Oakland the night before. And, of course, we go out and, the thought that evening, Jermon pitches a perfect game, win 11-0, win 10-4 the next night. I'm like – so I took full credit for that. But, yeah, you missed that one, brother. You would have enjoyed that. Go back and take a look. You go to the Green Legion YouTube page. Go back to last week. Get to about the last 25 minutes, and I just lose my mind. It started out as what I had kind of scripted, and then I just went off the rails because I was pissed. Who else we got in here? Lou Mancini. Hey, everyone. What's up, brother? Been talking to Lou, trying to set up itinerary for next Friday in Philadelphia. Looking forward to that. But let's get to the normal business stuff first. Dog hair on my microphone. If you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion. If those services are where you're comfortable, we totally get it. But the YouTube channel is the best way to view, listen, and comment on any Green Legion radio show. So please do us a solid. Even if you're more comfortable on your Facebook, on your Twitter, head on over to YouTube, search the Green Legion. Subscribe, click your little bell for notifications, and whether you're, no matter what service you're on, share all that everywhere you can for us. Right? Just always want to flood the interwebs with Green Legion Radio. If you cannot catch our shows live, you can always watch or listen later on any of the services previously mentioned, but also on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget, and I say it every week, every Sunday, Bud Light Baseball Brunch with Greg Murphy and Chris Sack. We will be there. The Gilmore Brigade will be there at Xfinity. Not this coming Sunday, following Sunday. When we head into Philly and invade the city, planning to go down and see Chris and Greg live down there, talking about possibly hopping on the show for a few. If they've got the time, that would be awesome. We'll be heading into post All-Star game, and you start talking about trade deadline and things like that, and should be a good time. Whether we're able to get on or not, I'm going to bring the whole fam down there, and we're gonna have a hell of a time. Again, sticking with the Green Legion, the invasions all across the league this year, right? Make sure you sign up if you have not already. I know LA is filling up quickly. Tampa's, I don't know if there's any hotels left. I haven't looked at it in days. Actually, at my friend Mike's wedding a week and a half ago, one of our folks from our Midwest Eagles nest was there, and he's like, so I want to go, he's saying, John, he wanted to go and do that with us. And I'm like, dude, you can't even get a room at the same hotel I'm at right now. Now, at that point, there were still some rooms left at Winter the Dolphin, which is right next door to the Hampton. But other than that, nothing. So if there's a trip you're wanting to get on, I suggest getting in there and getting signed up now. Don't wait until August and think you're just going to hop in wherever you want. And don't say I didn't warn you. Okay? It's the best way to do a road trip. It's also the best way to do a home tailgate. The Green Legion has you covered no matter where you want to see the birds. Midwest Eagles Nest, we're going to do our preseason pep rally on September 2nd. I'll start talking to Mike more about details on that somewhere in the next coming weeks. He just got married a couple of weeks ago, and they're planning their huge honeymoon. So I try not to bother him too much, at least until after that. But we'll have to plan that one out. Should be a good time. We'll get some music blaring, get the buckets of beer flowing. Holiday, the Labor Day weekend should be a good time. And finally, as previously mentioned, the UnHappy Invasion of Philadelphia. So, our big ticket items that we want to do when we come to town. And if we can throw other things in, we will. But Rocky and the kids running up the museum steps. Betsy Ross's house, the American Revolution Museum, Ben Franklin's grave, not Ben Franklin Museum. I did that with my boys about a year and a half ago, and I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great place to go, but I'll lose my daughter with that. She's not gonna hold interest there. And then obviously Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell and the market, right? So what we're thinking of doing is we're either going to start that, and Friday will be the big day when we go around the city. So we're either going to start the day by going straight out to see Rock and do the steps and then come back to everything else, or hit everything else, see what kind of time we got. Can we get out there and get back to the market in time for dinner time? Or we just save Rocky for Sunday, maybe earlier in the morning before going down to Xfinity for baseball brunch. We'll figure it out. But we do want to have dinner at the market or somewhere close by. Lou Mancini mentioned Villa de Roma. I am much more the type of person that likes to eat inside. I know Angelo's is over there for the cheesesteaks and whatnot. I'm not big on eating outdoors, especially when it's sweltering hot and humid. I get really like, yeah, I start to sweat and its clothes get all stuck to me. I'm kind of fat, so I get aggravated. Right, it's not fun, but we'll figure it out one way or the other. We'll figure out what to do over there. Who else is in the room? 305 Sports Babe. Take lots of pics. How you doing, Ashley? Looking forward to seeing your journey. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time. Nice family trip. It'll be hectic. It'll be busy. It's a lot of driving there and back, but it's still going to be. It'll totally be worth it, and to have a good time. The other part of dinner on that Friday night that I'm thinking about it is, if we have a sit down rest, if we're able to go in and sit down, that opens up the opportunity for some more people to come on out if they want. If Sam wants to join us, I don't know what her plans are. We're staying with her, but I'm not sure what her plans are. Steph, if she's around too. Russ, Keenan, Quimby, Chris, Diaz, whoever. We're just going to put it out there that this is what we're planning to do, and whoever can come join us, it'd be awesome to see it. There's no chance we are going to be able to get around to see each individual person at wherever you're going to be. So especially with a family of 5, like, for lack of a better way to put it, not to sound arrogant, but if you guys, if you want to see us, you're probably going to have to come to wherever we're at. Except for maybe that Sunday. I don't know. We'll figure it out. David Califoot. No cheerleaders with the guys. No, bud, this one's a family trip. Kind of frowned upon to bring a 16-year-old, 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old into a place like cheerleaders, I would imagine. So that's the plan for that Friday. Obviously, you guys know that Saturday we're double dipping the baseball. 1 p.m. Phillies. I believe the gates open 2 hours prior to first pitch. It is Bryce Harper NLCS ring replica deck giveaway, and I intend to be out there waiting at the gate so that to make sure the boys and I all get our stuff. I am going to trade mine for a bobblehead to Chris. So when I have that with me when I head over to Xfinity on that Sunday. Then it'd be cool to keep it, and if I find an extra one laying around the ground, then I'll snag that. But it's the thing's going to mean more to Chris than it will to me. So a cool bobblehead as a trade works just fine for me, and my boys will have theirs. So, and I'll have the pictures and the memories and our stamps in our book, and I can't wait. And then Saturday night. I'm thinking the Phils game, we're probably dipping out of there 6th, 7th inning to beat the crowds, depending on how the game goes and whatever, and get in the car, and we're going to drive down to Baltimore, and we've got tickets 7 p.m. at Camden Yards, and that will be, I think it's Baltimore Orioles soccer jersey giveaway. So we're getting 2 free things that day, and I'm a big fan of free things. So, but again, stamp in the book. My boys also each have one of these. This is the big book, MLBBallparkPassport.com, if anybody's interested. I totally suggest it. If you're chasing ballparks, this is the way to go. I'm enough of a dork where I also bought just kind of the game day one. And I can show you if we've got enough time later in the show, I'll show you the difference between the two. And I also bought the minor league one. So there. And obviously I don't need it so much for Philly because I have all of you built in. But I did purchase this, baseball road trips. And so that's helpful, like going to Toronto or, any other cities we've not been to. Just as some pointers. It is geared more, that book's a little bit geared more towards adults. Gives you a lot of pubs and places to go have drinks and whatnot. But it does call out some sightseeing things and stuff that the kids would enjoy too. So maybe Rocky before baseball brunch, then baseball brunch, and then lunch. Either there down at Xfinity somewhere, or maybe we head up to Angelo's or somewhere else to smash another cheesesteak. They want to go to Chickies and Pete's too, though. They like the crab fries, so maybe that's the day. Maybe we'll do Chickies for lunch that day, and then figure it out from there. Monday, we're still intending on getting up and heading down to Baltimore, Fort McHenry in the morning, Babe Ruth Birthplace Museum, and then hopefully a crab cake lunch on the Inner Harbor. And then it's possible we're starting to drive back at that point. We're just gonna kind of have to see how it goes. Weather will play a role. If either of the baseball games get rained out, then we'll have to shift plans. But that's where we're at right now. So that's the plans. Lou Mancini, I will be in touch. I got your last message, so thank you for that. I will be in touch. I already talked to the wife. She just got home from work not long ago. We are going to sit and talk that Friday itinerary and try to just get it in stone so that Lou, you and I have talked before, messaging and whatnot. You guys have all heard me talk on here. I'm much more of a planner. I don't want to wait until next Wednesday and be worried about what I'm doing Friday. I want to get all that lined up so that I can communicate, so that we know and we're comfortable with it, but also so that I can communicate to all of you. This is what we're doing and how we're doing it. And here's your opportunity to come grab a sandwich or something with us if you want. So back over to the room. There we go. Lou Mancini, I'm not a fan of eating in the heat either. But yeah, like heat is one thing. It's not, if it's just hot out and you can kind of hide in the shade, that's okay. You start throwing in that humidity, dude, and it's like, not a fan. And my wife is known for, she doesn't understand the deal that like the cities have with the pigeons, where you don't throw shit on the ground. Anything you throw on the ground belongs to them. So she did that in New York once. It wasn't good. Family vacation. I got you. Lou Mancini's boner of the week is James Harden. Still thinks he's elite. He will never get another lucrative contract. Well, you know what? That's not a bad candidate, but I've got something better. Well, the way I wrote it up, anyways. But before we get to the boner of the week, I want to give, and Quimby, if you're out there listening, or if you listen to this later on, this one's for you, bud. I want to give a big special shout out to one Mike Trout for once again landing on the injured list. This time with a broken wrist. And I think, what is the report? Up to 8 weeks or something like that he's going to be out. The guy has not sniffed a full season of baseball since he played 159 games back in 2016. His high water mark since that time is 140 games. Like, you throw 2020 out because it was just, it was what it was, but because of the stupid COVID. But, like, the guy, he's never on the field for a full season. He's just not. Right? So congratulations, Mike Trout. You're nothing if not consistent, buddy. And to add salt to the wound for the Anaheim Angels, that report of Mike Trout comes out on a day when Anthony Rendon, big surprise here, gets pulled out of the game with a right shin bruise after fouling one off his leg. Right? He's another one. Since he got to Anaheim, can't stay healthy. And to make it even worse, Shohei Ohtani was removed from the game with a blister on his finger. He had pitched 5 innings, got rocked for 5 runs, and was 0 for 3 at the plate. I don't know if you could have a worse day as an organization than the Angels had yesterday. Between the Trout report, Rendon's contract, just more and more of an albatross, the fact that he can't stay on the field, and now Ohtani. So, it's a blister with Ohtani. He's going to be fine. They're saying he's probably not going to pitch. He's not going to pitch in the All-Star game, which kind of stinks. But, I didn't hear yet whether or not he said he was going to be able to DH. So hopefully he can still do that. So yeah, congrats, Anaheim. You had an awful day. And one quick thing, basketball-wise, Dame Lillard to Miami still sounds like it's a thing. Ashley, I don't know if you're still listening. If you wanted to chime in and give us some insight, you know what? And I keep forgetting to freaking do this every stinking week. And every stinking week, I want to kick myself for it. So if we do this, and sorry, guys, just give me 1 second here. There we go. I keep forgetting to put the StreamYard link up. None of you ever click on it anyways. Lou did a few weeks back. But the rest of you never do it. But it's there. I'm a man of my word. But yeah, Ash, if you're still in the room, I don't know. But the Dame to Miami still sounds like it's got some smoke. But Miami is not willing to part with either Bam or Jimmy. I don't know how much Portland really wants Jimmy Butler at this point. He'll be 34 years old before the season tips off. So, it's definitely on the downside. But, they're going to probably have to find another trade partner. There's whispers of Brooklyn, but apparently nobody wants Bitch Simmons. It's so great. Anyways, who do we got over here? David Califoot. How can you hate on Trout? Where's Judge? My boner of the week is all the Yankees fans thinking a perfect game against a high school team is a world stopper. Califoot. How can I hate on Trout? Play a full season. Okay? And yeah, Judge has his problem too, right? But it's every single year with Mike Trout. Every year. Again, he has not sniffed a full season of games since 2016. The high water mark is 140 games. I think it was 2018. Something like that. I get where you're coming from. And as far as a perfect game against the high school team, well, I mean, if they're and I get it, the A's stink, but if it was that easy, shouldn't everyone be doing it? I'm sorry, have the Red Sox pitched the perfect game this year? I can't hear you. I didn't think so. Anyways, moving on. So, Lou Mancini nominated James Harden for the boner of the week. He's not my guy. But I do understand it, right? So, Harden, now that he has complained and wants out, if and when he gets traded, he is going to end up, I believe that's 4 teams in the last 4 seasons. So when you look at his career as a whole, he's only played on, so many teams. But these last 4 years, he has hop skipped, and it's all been about, I don't want to be here. I want to be there. I don't want to be here. And the problem is Philly's going to have to trade him. Because if they don't, we all know what's going to happen to Harden, right? He's just going to hang out in strip clubs. He's going to eat too much bad shit. He's going to put on a bunch of weight. And he's going to come out and this season, he's going to look like a big fat slob again. So they're kind of forced to move on to him. What do we got here, Lou Mancini? Trout's numbers would be insane if he could stay healthy. His numbers are already just amazing. Like last year, I forget what the number of at-bats, but he still hit 40 home runs. The guy is an incredible baseball player. But your most valuable attribute is your availability. Plain and simple. Keenan Harmon. Trout sits in the section in front of me at the link when I get my usual seat. The guy has a standing, like he's ready to go. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with Trout. Look, do I respect his talent as a baseball player? Absolutely. He is a phenomenal baseball player when he's on the field. And he does not care about winning a goddamn thing. Don't let him – nobody should be fooled by any of that. If he cared about winning, he wouldn't still be playing in Anaheim, first and foremost. My mother, Joyce Russ. Judge's injury is extremely painful and takes a very long time to heal, according to MD. It's a torn ligament in his toe. You can't run on that, okay? And it's his right foot. So it's also his his plant foot, his pivot. I challenge any of you to tear that ligament in your toe and tell me how fast you can run and how far you can hit a baseball when you can't plant your foot without writhing in pain. It's a fluke injury. All right. I mean, the guy basically broke the gate to the bullpen out there in LA, and the bottom is concrete, unpadded concrete. And his foot, he's going back on it full steam ahead, and his foot smashed right into it, and he tore the ligament. Lucky he didn't break his foot, to be honest with you. All right, back to where we were at here. So, no, Harden's not my boner of the week, but I totally get the nomination. For us here, we've got a joint venture this week, and both of them surround Super Bowl 57. Okay? I'm going to start with the National Football League. All right? So we all know that the field in Arizona for the game was oversaturated, right? This isn't a secret. We all know it. Everyone knows it. We know that this did benefit the Chiefs slightly more than it benefited our Birds, right? I mean, I think that's safe to say. But I do. So a lot of what you hear is, well, the Eagles couldn't get their pass rush going, and that crushed it. Yes, to an extent. But I do need you all to keep in mind that the Kansas City Chiefs were second in the NFL in sacks last season. So the pass rush, the intense pass rush and getting to the quarterback is also part of their bread and butter recipe to win games. Okay? It wasn't just us that was affected by this. So then we hear from the guy called the Sod Father, right? His name is George Toma. And he stated the following in an interview with ESPN. He says the field was watered the Wednesday before the game. Excuse me. After watering, the field was immediately rolled into the stadium using the hydraulic system that allows the turf to catch some sun. Toma's belief was that the field should have remained in direct sun on that Wednesday morning to dry out completely before it was rolled in. Apparently, NFL field director Ed Mangan did not heed this advice. And I quote here from George Toma. So what he does, he waters the hell out of it and put it right into the stadium, and that's it. It never sees direct sunlight again. It says you can't do that, right? Toma added that a tarp was laid over the field to protect from rehearsals, pregame and halftime show. And he was not told until the lead up to the game that the field was starting to decay. And again, I quote, it had a rotten smell. Toma goes on to say that Mangan sanded it 2 weeks too late. He had only one sanding and should have had 2 or 3. He didn't do shit and wouldn't listen to anyone. So, all right, that's a lot to handle. So, we're saying NFL field director Ed Mangan basically just did as little as possible to get the actual field ready, right? That's basically what this sod father, George Toma, is saying. Look, the NFL, people in the NFL are the ones that gave him that nickname, sod father. When he's coming out and he's telling you, and I get you're the director of, what the frick was his title again? Field director. I understand, but you have these people in these positions for a reason, so that you can make informed decisions. You don't just blow off what they're saying to you just because maybe it's going to cost some more work. And what happened? We all saw the results. Guys slipping all over the place, and at least half a dozen Eagles players switched cleats during the first half, including Jalen Hurts. Russ Taylor. I said it. I said it after the game. Yeah, you can see they were sliding all over the place. Mom, I see your quote there. I saw the Cordero. I heard the Cordero thing on my way home. My run sheet was already done. Honorable mention, boner of the week. But honestly, guys like that do things like that, I don't even want to give them the 5 minutes of fame. All right, it was one thing to do it with Bob Huggins and his DUIs and Antonio Brown acting like an idiot and stuff like that. But this Cordero for the Yankees, it's domestic violence, and I just have no respect or time to give to someone like that. I find it disgusting. Anyways, back to the field here. Back to the NFL. So now here we sit, 6 months later, and what does the NFL say? That they blamed and are blaming the players for not wearing the right shoes. You want to talk about boner of the week material? This is laying it on pretty thick. I mean, numerous Eagles players changed shoes, and it was still a problem. It's just ridiculous, pass the buck, just garbage mentality. I mean, guys and girls, this is the Super Bowl. It's in a domed stadium, right? Who was out there with us in Arizona when we went and played the Cardinals last season? You guys saw it, right? I mean, how long do you really think it would take to dry out all that water off that field in that kind of heat? And don't get it messed up. It's still hot as hell out there in February. Could have easily dried out the field the way that the sod father told him to do it. Chose not to. And the field started to rot, literally rot and stink. Right? Stink. Keenan. You were out there. Oh, where'd you go? You were out there, brother. You felt how hot it was. The whole thing's ridiculous. So, again, it's the Super Bowl in a dome stadium in Arizona. Well, gee, why the hell would the teams and players not expect the field to be in absolutely perfect condition? This is the biggest sporting event in our country every single year. It's one of the biggest sporting events in the entire world every year. And I say one of because I don't know what the ratings are versus soccer when you start talking international. I know worldwide soccer is still the number one sport. But it's still one of the biggest events in the world. It's easily the biggest sporting event in this country. How the hell do you allow the field to be that messed up and then double down on it by blaming the players for not having the right cleats? I mean, you want to talk about just huge kegs of weak sauce here, right? They have a factory opened up that says weak sauce on it where they come out with this nonsense. How many times do we have to hear about the NFL being so invested in player safety? And then they come out with crap like this where they just contradict themselves all over the place. I mean, do you really think they honestly believe that we're all just dumb? They do. They think we're all just stupid. That if they put out there that they care so much about concussion, you're trying to eliminate concussions in a sport that's so violent, it's probably impossible to just eliminate concussions, right? But that's what they're using to tweak the rules in favor of offense. Why? Because lighting up the scoreboard puts more asses in seats and more eyes on televisions. That's why. Is a portion of it about player safety? Yeah, I'm sure it is. But I don't think it's the biggest reason. I never have. Because they do stuff like this, right? The players aren't at fault for not wearing the right shoes. The field was rotting. Did anybody else see what that field looked like late in the game? I mean, remember old Candlestick? there's a slight comparison there. It was terrible. And so, yeah, did it hurt our pass rush? Sure it did. It also hurt Kansas City's. Don't try to sell me on player safety when you're sitting there blaming players for what cleats they're supposed to wear at the freaking Super Bowl in a domed stadium. That field should have been 1,000% immaculate. The cleats should not even have been a question. You got a lot of nerve blaming players for that. Disgusting. Right? So don't even try it. And then the Thursday night games, you're adding more of them, all this thing. Come on, man. Don't try to play. You got guys playing on Sunday, turn around and play it on Thursday. Oh, well, we're not going to have them play until the following Monday, or we'll give them the bye week after. Oh, well, great. What does that do for them when they've only got 3.5 days in between games? Nothing. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. It's always about the money, especially with the NFL. Look, and at this point, it's even more disgusting because that league prints its own cash, right? Roger Goodell's probably got some printer in his house or in his office somewhere that just shoots out cash or crypto or whatever. But I find it repulsive that they keep thinking they can. They treat us like idiots, and that's what pisses me off. Okay, if I'm smart enough to see through it, no doubt all of you are smart enough to see through it. Okay, no question about it. Yeah. All right. So don't try to sell us on the player safety. Just take responsibility for what you did, and look, you screwed up the field. It is what it is. Okay? Neither team had an advantage with that. Neither team. Both teams had problems. So go sell crazy somewhere else, Roger. We're all stocked up here. Again, you're trying to change the rules to avoid concussions in a sport that's nearly impossible to avoid the concussions. The truth is, offense sells the tickets. Offense puts eyes on the screen. And you're tweaking the rules to help the offense. Everyone can see that. Any good football fan can see that. You're tweaking the rules to help the offense. But you're trying to do it under the guise of player safety. And that's what makes you a jackass. Okay? Just come out and say it. Look, the league thrives more when we score more points. But no, you don't want to do that because you're trying to hold on to guys like me, guys like most of you, guys like Quimby that actually enjoy seeing defense. You're still trying to make us believe that you can when we know you don't. Just stop treating us like idiots. Be straight up. So there's boner of the week number one. The NFL for their lame-ass excuse of the field and what went wrong. Before I get to number two, I'm going to hop back over to the room here. Lou Mancini, I concur upon further review. Califoot won't say a word about Cordell. This is disgusting. I don't care who the hell you play for. It's repulsive. David Califoot, my father was there, said the field was trash. But come on, guys, we lost, move on, worry about this year. And that's where we're headed with this, Dave, no doubt. Russ Taylor, what the hell? People keep bothering me. Keenan Harmon, Daytona and Indy 500 seats more spectators, but the Super Bowl generates more money. Seats more spectators, but I'm talking about the ratings and everything all encompassing. Russ Taylor, the final countdown to Philly is coming. The final countdown to Philly is on, baby. Once we cross that 10-day threshold, it is on. 8 days from right now, I expect to hopefully be sitting somewhere in South Jersey having a Panzerotti or 5. Dave Cotton in the room, my brother. What do we got here? Player safety has always just been a good soundbite. Yep. Agreed. Russ Taylor, you saw my post using experimental turf in the Super Bowl. It's not that. It was the way it was treated. If they just would have done what they were supposed to do, experimental or not, it would have been okay. But they chose not to do that. They rotted it out instead. Lou Mancini, it's ridiculous that this happened because they shy away from places like Lambeau Field. David Kahn at the National Fraud League. Keenan Harmon, I'd rather watch a Dawkins hit than a Montana TD. Exactly, right? That's how most of us are. I mean, you enjoy the touchdowns too, right? Somebody makes a big play. You enjoy that too, but you want to have the defense in there too. I can watch a game that only ends up being 17-14 or 14-10 as long as it's not strictly about ugly offense, right? If it's 14-10, it's because the defense is just kicking the crap out of each other. Dude, I'm all in. But that's not what the league wants to try to sell anymore, right? That's why you're seeing a lot of these rule changes. Okay, now to part 2 of our boner of the week, which I kind of teased was going to turn into a bit of a discussion. This Dave Califoot, this kind of goes along with what you said a minute ago. Folks, there are way too many Birds fans out there trying to use the field conditions as a reason for the Super Bowl loss. Okay? We've gone over this time and again on this show for reasons why we lost that game. I don't know how many more times. And I'm not speaking about anyone in this room right now, or really, maybe not really anybody even watching. I'm speaking about, the tweets and the Facebook group posts and stuff like that, where I just continue to see these are the same people that were pining for us to draft Bijan Robinson, right? Or the same people that are coming out screaming and yelling how we have to say, they want to go and get DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it's the same level of stuff. And I'm going to call you folks out every time I get fed up with it, okay? The second, for everyone who can hear my voice, the second half defense in Super Bowl 57, the Eagles' second half defense is far and away the number one reason why we lost that game. Okay? Second half defense up here, anything else starts way down here. It really is that simple, in particular when you go back and actually look at what happened in that game. Take yourselves out of the moment for a minute and look at the game. These people making these excuses, you're just reaching for crap, and I'm tired of it. For the people in the back who continue to not listen, we took a 10-point lead into halftime. 10 points. We had only allowed the Chiefs' offense to score 7 points in the first half. The other 7 points they got came on the Jalen fumble that turned scoop and score. While we weren't putting up sack numbers, we were pushing them around on both sides in the trenches. Okay? When it got to halftime, when it got close, one of the guys in our group out there looked at me, he's like, what is going on in this game? I'm like, the cream, and I flat told him, the cream is rising to the top. We're pushing them around. Okay? And you can clearly see it on both sides. No, we weren't getting to Mahomes and smashing them. Okay? But that wasn't because of the field. That's just because Mahomes is that good of a quarterback. But we were still pressuring. We were still pushing them around. And especially our offensive line, we were playing bully ball at that point. Okay? 10-point lead into the half, despite the Jalen fumble turn scoop and score. Held the Chiefs' offense to 1 touchdown in the first half. And then halftime happened. Now, what do you want to try to say? So this is where you lose me with the whole field crap. We were kicking their ass. There's no other way to look at it. That Jalen scoop and score, again, second half defense, everything else starts here. That Jalen scoop and score is so far down the list, it's not even funny. I get it. It affects the final score, but halftime happens. And we all know the story. The adjustments on Kansas City's side, everything that they threw at our defense, Jonathan Gannon had absolutely no answer for it. As well as we played defensively in the first half, we were equally awful in the second half. In case anyone wants to question that, it was the field. No, dude, it wasn't the field, okay? If it was the field, we would have had just as much trouble in the first half. But that didn't happen. The Chiefs' second half possessions went as follows. 10 plays, 75 yards, 5 minutes and 30 seconds, touchdown. 9 plays, 75 yards, 4 minutes, 41 seconds, touchdown. Following a 65-yard punt return, okay? 3 plays, 5 yards, 49 seconds, touchdown. And finally, 12 plays, 66 yards, 5 minutes, 7 seconds, game-winning field goal after the ticky-tack holding call on Bradbury. Through that stuff right there, I don't know where you get that the field was the problem. Okay? Was it in garbage condition? Of course it was in garbage condition. We just went over all that. But the continued whining from a lot of people in the Philadelphia Eagles fan base makes the people doing that no better than those San Francisco 49ers fans who are still bitching about the NFC Championship game and their quarterbacks getting bundled. Knock it off. We're better than this, and we'll have our chance to prove it on that Monday night prior to Thanksgiving. There's your boner of the week. NFL for their week sauce, and at least the Philadelphia, a lot of the Eagles fans on the interwebs, not much better than a lot of those 49ers fans, or those 49ers players who continue to complain too. Okay, let's hop back over here and see what you guys got. Where are we at here? Keenan Harmon, reason number 1, Gannon. Reason number 2, Gannon. Reason number 3, yeah, man. I mean, it was terrible. Joyce Russ, you're absolutely right. Thank you, Mom. David Connie, was it the field? Yes, it was the field, Dave. Russ Taylor, you saw my views on all the issues on the field. The head groundskeeper for the Super Bowl should not be tied to either team. I can agree to that. I'm not going to disagree. That's for sure. But I don't think. I mean, apparently it was the call of this David Mangan, whatever the hell his name is. Ed Mangan, the NFL field director. Guys, was the field a contributing factor in some of the second half play? Sure. But I would tell you it was a contributing factor on both sides. Okay. To me, it wasn't enough to move the needle. If we were able to push them around in the first half, what are you trying to tell me? That sometime working around the halftime show that they came and hosed the field down again? That didn't happen. It's not the field. Our defense sucked. We lost the Super Bowl. Now shut the hell up. All right? We've retooled. Looking at, like Califoot said a little while ago, looking forward to this coming season. All right. So, we're about 50 minutes in. Don't want to take too much more time. I'm hungry, and I want to get to planning next Friday out. But a couple of weeks ago, we did talk about some key matchups on our schedule for this season. And that was what I think we went over Minnesota and the New York Jets. And I had us 1-1 in those games. I do agree with Grimby that the first loss is going to come somewhere in that stretch where the Rams, the Jets are back to back. And for my money, and they may not lose either. They might lose the Rams game and beat the Jets. But if I was going to bet right now, I don't like going out to the West Coast and then coming directly back and having to go to the Jets. But again, I did preface it with, is Rodgers healthy and still committed, right? If he's neither of those things, if he's hurt, obviously the Jets are going to stink. If he's not committed, then we've also got a problem, and the Eagles should kick their rear ends. So, anyways, want to look at two more bigger matchups, right? I don't want to look at the division yet, right? Because I need to try to drag out some of this for another month or so before we start having more football content. But we do have two more on our schedule that are huge matchups. One of them is a rematch of the Super Bowl. The other one is a rematch of the AFC Championship game. So we'll start in November, and our matchup against at Kansas City on the Monday night prior to Thanksgiving. So, all right, guys, we just beat the second half defense of the Super Bowl. We just beat that up again. I don't want to rehash too many more stats out of that game because it's still gut wrenching. I don't know about the rest of you. We're over it, but are we really over it? It still hurts. So I'm not going to rehash that. But we did do an overview of the schedule and just kind of ran through it quick, not long after it was released. And I personally, I don't think we're getting our revenge in this game. That's not to say it can't happen, obviously. We're totally talented enough. I don't like it being in Kansas City, all right? And I especially don't like, you've heard, the Bradbury holding call, the field, you've heard a little bit of whining, which is going to do nothing but motivate a Kansas City team to stuff it up our rear ends when we head into their house that Monday before Turkey Day. Arrowhead can be an incredibly unpleasant place to play. I have not had the pleasure of going there yet. I do want to knock that off my list at some point. For those of you that don't know, outside of just the baseball, which I think we've got about half the stadiums, I do also want to get to every football stadium as well. That's kind of a lifelong goal of mine. We'll see. So I might be 90 years old by the time I get through with it. But anyways, I don't think we're getting our revenge in this one. I might feel differently if the game was in Philly. I think Philly, Arrowhead has a great home field advantage. I believe the link gives us a clear, distinct advantage. Just the fan base alone and all of that. Cowfoot. Arrowhead is a shithole. Nothing to see, Gilmore. I was out in Kansas City in 2019 on our baseball trip. In 2019, we hit the Royals, the K, and they share a lot with Arrowhead, and there's nothing around the ballparks. But there is the Negro League Baseball Museum in Kansas City, and that place is awesome. So it's not that there's nothing there, and I'm sure there was other stuff we could have seen as well, but just didn't have enough time. That museum was the landmark we were going to. Anyways, I don't want to get out of a rabbit hole here. Again, I might feel differently about the KC game if it's in Philly. I don't like it being at Arrowhead. Do I expect to get blown out? No, of course not. I expect it to be competitive. It may very well come down to the last play again or something like that. But I do ultimately think this goes the Chiefs' way. Unless the loss of Eric Bieniemy is more significant than any of us are assuming. Now, that man moved laterally, from Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and he moves to the Commodes where, is their starting quarterback listed as Sam Howell right now? That move is 100% about, I'm going to prove it to everyone that it wasn't Andy Reid, it was me. He's pissed off he hasn't gotten head coaching opportunities. There's been all kinds of rumors about possibly he's a bad interviewee. Whatever the case may be. He's obviously angry about it, and that's why he took a job with a horrible team as their OC, and he wants to prove it to us. Is it possible that the Chiefs do take that step back this year? You know, we all thought that they were going to take a step back last season, remember? Remember before the year, the Chiefs were supposed to take a step back, and it was going to be Buffalo's year, right? And why was that? It's because the Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek ends up in Miami. They trade him away to Miami. Oh, well, I mean, that's going to take at least a year to adjust to that. And what actually happened? Well, Patrick Mahomes happened. That's what happened, right? The kid puts up another NFL MVP season, completing 67% of his passes, highest of his career. 5,250 yards, highest of his career. 41 touchdowns, second highest of his career. Another Super Bowl win, another Super Bowl MVP. And that MVP award would have easily gone to Jalen Hurts had we won that game. So that didn't slow the Chiefs down. Is the loss of Orlando Brown to the Bengals a bigger deal than maybe we're giving it credit? I mean, you don't lose your starting left tackle usually and just be able to plug and play quick, right? That's the blind side. Is that going to rear its ugly head? There's a great signing by the Bengals. Not only does it fix a massive problem they've had, right? Because you add that left tackle, a huge, capable left tackle like that, it makes the whole rest of the line better. Nobody has to you don't have to shade over to help as much. The whole rest of the line gets better. And they got him from their biggest competition in the AFC. Does the loss of Orlando Brown hurt them that much? Or is it the loss of Brown and Bieniemy, right? It's possible it was a Bieniemy behind everything. It's also possible it's Andy Reid doing the majority of the planning and play calling. But is it possible that situationally, right, a third and short in a tight spot, close game, whatever, halftime adjustments, are they going to miss Bieniemy's touch in some of those specific situations, coupled with the loss of their starting left tackle? Is that enough to knock them down a peg? I guess we're going to find out come that Monday before Thanksgiving. As of right now, I still have that as a loss for the Eagles, right? But, I guess, that's why they play the games, and we'll have to see how the Chiefs come out of the gates. So, what else do we got over here? Lou Mancini, this swamp-ass weather is ridiculous. It's freaking hot as hell here, too, man. Dave Conner, it was Buffalo's year for Josh Allen to throw picks in the playoffs. Dude, I think Buffalo's primed for a big step back this year. And as we work through the schedule and take closer looks at each game, you're going to hear my reasons why, mostly surrounding the run game. But that's not what we're here for tonight. The second game I want to take a look at real quick here in our closing few minutes. The rematch of the NFC Championship game in early December. Dave Connick, might want to plug your ears. Outside of being on that Green Legion Tampa trip, and look, Dan out in LA and Q, you guys give me a lot of shit for having to back out of the LA trip. I get it. Believe me, LA was our first choice. It's where we wanted to go. It just didn't work out. Okay? So it's not like we're never going to play the Rams again. Anyways, aside from that Tampa Green Legion trip, this San Francisco, and really it's only because I'm going to be going to Tampa. That game against the 49ers is easily the one on the schedule I am looking most forward to. I cannot describe how much I want to shut that team up. I want to shut their fans up for all their continued whining. Yes, you had to play most of the game without a quarterback. Yes, that's very difficult. However, it was us who knocked your quarterback out. You don't get to come back and then use that as an excuse. Blame the scheme and the play calling. Okay, kids? Right? When you try to block the league's best edge rusher with your backup tight end, bad things are going to happen. Right? You found that out the hard way. Yeah, Keenan Harmon. LA was my first choice, but Pam bought a new car. LA was our first choice too. But, I've got a trip to Philly next week, and 2 weeks after that, the boys and I are going to Toronto. So, I had to save some costs somewhere. The airfare to Los Angeles kind of crushed it for us. So, anyways, we won that game 31-7. And I will flat tell you, that could have been a lot worse had we not gone vanilla on offense. Right? I think it was obvious to me. That game could have there could have been a record-setting margin of victory in that game had we just stepped on the gas for the entire 4 quarters. Didn't do that. You want to tell me the score would have been different if Purdy plays the whole game? All right. Yeah, I'm with that. The 49ers defense is good. And if the quarterback does just enough to keep them fresh, we would have had a little bit more trouble scoring, and maybe you get another touchdown. So I'll tell you what. Instead of 31-7, if Purdy plays the whole game, I tell you that the final score 24-7, 24-14. I'll give you a touchdown and I'll take one away from us. But we still go vanilla in the 4th quarter. Okay? And that second touchdown that I'm giving you, probably a garbage time touchdown. All you Niner fans that sit there and want to blame the quarterback thing, I don't know what game you were watching. You guys just weren't as good as us. All right? And Brock Purdy was a nice story last year. Okay? Right? I'm sure he's a nice young man. It was a great story. But that's all it was. It was a nice story. Okay? And that story ended in Philadelphia. And now we'll see what the kid can come back with if he comes back. I don't know who the starter is going to be in San Francisco. And I'm telling you something right now. Sooner or later, Niner fans, this whole, plug and play at quarterback is going to eventually bite you in the rear end. You are not going to continue to get away with it, especially if CMC gets hurt. There's no way you're going to be able to continue to pull that off. Not in today's NFL, okay? You can't. You're not going to be able to just keep wishy-washy with the quarterback and think you're going to keep making it back to championship games. Your defense is elite. I get it. But the league is – we talked about this earlier in the show. The league is geared around offense, and it's going to continue to go that way. At some point, Shanahan's got to – this is my guy, and go for it. And whether that's Purdy or who's the other kid? His name escapes me right now. Probably because he hasn't played in 2 years, but whatever. All right. Again, like I said, bottom Niner fans, you got beat by a better team. All right. And then David Conant. Philly defense, the best he faced all year. If Purdy plays the whole game, I think it's 27-17, which means it doesn't matter that Purdy got hurt. Well, 27-17 or 24-14, either way, it's a 10-point victory, and I think your final touchdown would have come in garbage time. Again, bottom line, Niner fans, you got beat up, housed by a better team. Your scheme was terrible, which got your quarterbacks killed. Your coach not throwing the red flag on the Smith catch is, again, on the coach. You don't get to come use that as an excuse. You guys, that wasn't a catch. No, it wasn't a catch. Smith knew it. Everyone knew it. Except apparently Shanahan. So whatever. I'll be honest. I expect fans to act like idiots. I mean, if you've been watching and listening, not only just today, we've called out our own today and previously for their antics. What bothers me the most about the continued whining from Frisco is that the players periodically still come back and whine about it, whether it's Deebo Samuel or whoever. Somebody every so often will come up and complain. Like, dude, get over it. You got beat by a better team. That's what happened. Right? Done. Trey Lance. Thank you, Dave. Dave counted. By the way, since I'm the only Niner fan here with Fito not being on, I feel attacked. Well, I suggest you write your local congressman. All right, so there we are, folks. So now we're taking a little bit closer look at 4 of the games in our schedule. I had us smashing Minnesota, losing to the Jets, losing to Kansas City, beating San Francisco. All right. I'm not going to get score-wise San Francisco. I don't know. I think you're going to see another defensive ball game. I do expect people to stay healthy this time. So, I think it's what we've been talking about. I think it's a 21-14, one score, maybe a 10-point game. I'm not going to sit here and say the 49ers stink. They don't. I do expect the quarterback situation to bite you in the rear end sooner or later, though. Anyways, folks, I have taken up enough of your time. I am hungry. I want to get fed, and I want to plan out next Friday so I can communicate to all of you in Philly where we're going to be, or at least, a ballpark time frame. So I'm going to get out of here. For everyone in the room, David Conant, David Califa, Keenan Harmon, Russ Taylor, Lou Mancini, my mother, Joyce Russ. Who else was in here? Ashley, and everyone out there in interweb land. This has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. Thank you very much for joining us this week. Hope we've entertained you for the hour and change here. Come back next week. We will be just hours away from our trip to Philly. And, until then, everyone, take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the upcoming weekend. And, as always, go Birds! All right, everybody. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your weekend. Talk to you soon. Love you.